So do you go to church or not? You go to church?
Church?
Yeah.
No, sir.
You don't
Not
go
for
to
a long
church?
time. No,
Okay. Because the reason why I'm asking, I like to know like what the church teaching, because I know the church teach things like God laws done away with and so on.
Yeah,
you have to
when
pay
I was
tithes.
going there, it was teaching. Never teach on Deuteronomy. It never teach on certain books.
Yeah.
Only had tithing or New Testament stuff. It was basically New Testament, no Old Testament.
So do you used to pay tithing?
I did at a point, yeah.
Okay, so how much did you used to pay?
I used to pay like every Sunday. I pay about £10.
£10.
Yeah.
Okay. At the time when you were going.
When I was going, this is a number of years ago.
Okay. All right then. Do you know what tithing is according to the Bible?
I think Paul spoke about tithing. Is it a certain percentage of your earnings?
Yeah,
I
I'm not asking about the percentage. I'm asking, do you know what tithing is? When you say that you should, because tithing was a law, but do you know what it is?
No, explain.
Okay, then let's read that now.
Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22.
Read.
Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed.
Right, you always said? The
Seed, so it's not
increase of your
monetary.
seed is not money.
Okay.
Read.
That the field bringeth forth year by year.
Right? The field doesn't bring money.
No.
You see what I mean? So we know that the tithing that we're talking about is not what the pastors use today to say that you should tithe, because they use verses like, can a man rob God?
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
But read that.
And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of thy corn.
Tithe of your corn, so
Right.
what you plant.
So tithe with, sorry brother, tithe with is food or
Yeah.
food?
Yeah.
Food.
It's going to explain to you more.
Of thy wine,
Wine
Right.
of thine oil,
and your oil.
Right.
and the firstling of thy herd.
So the first thing of your herd, so whatever herd you have, like goats, sheep, cow, bulls, things like that, you have to give the firstling perfect, not damaged animals.
Not blemish.
Yeah, read.
And of thy flock, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always.
Right, read.
And if the way be too long for thee,
So now we're saying that if you live too far from Jerusalem, by the time you go there with these animals, they're not going to be perfect anymore, because
Right.
they're going to start losing weight. They might get injured and so on. So now this is what he said we should do.
so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee,
Right,
which
read.
the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money.
Right, so now we said to turn it into money.
Right.
Let's see what that money is. Should that money be given to the pastor, or let's see what you should do with that money. Read.
And bind up the money in thine hand, and shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose.
Right, we know that that's Jerusalem.
Right.
When you read 2 Corinthians 6:6, right? Read.
Right.
And thou shalt bestow the money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after.
Right, so now when you reach there now, there are people that know the laws that you cannot take the animals. So now they have animals for sale, and think whatever you want, the oil, the corn, just like what we read earlier on.
Yeah.
Now you use the money and then you buy back those things, and then that's what you give.
Okay.
Right, read.
For oxen, or for sheep,
For sheep,
or for wine,
right?
or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household. Thou shalt rejoice.
Okay, go on to verse 28.
Verse 28.
Let's see how often you should give the tithe.
Right.
Because in today's church, you have to give the tithe every month, or every week, whatever.
Every Sunday.
Right. Now let's see how often they were giving the tithe. Read.
At the end of 3 years,
At the end of 3 years, so every 3 years, read.
thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thy increase.
You see that?
Right.
Not every month like what the pastors are doing.
So were they saving up their tithes for the end of?
Every 3 years.
Yeah, okay.
You see, what happened? Because this part, let's get that.
Yeah.
In Isaiah 56 and 11.
So what book was that scripture in?
This is using Deuteronomy. Right? This is why the pastors
They never
want
read
the
that.
money. They read it, but because they know that the people in the church are not reading, because when you go to church, all you see in there is hymn books.
Right.
You don't see the Bible in there because they don't want you to read it. Verse 11.
Isaiah chapter 56, verse 11. Yea, they are all greedy dogs,
You hear what the Bible says about the pastors? They're greedy dogs, read.
which can never have enough.
Right, they cannot have enough because every time, every month, or as you said, you're paying the tithes, knowing that it's only meant to be every 3 years.
Right.
Read.
And they are shepherds that cannot understand.
And they don't understand this Bible
Right.
because they twist the scriptures and teach the people wrong. Read.
They all look to their own way.
They look into their own way, so they know they're going to tell you the Bible the way they think it should be, not according to thus said the Lord.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Read.
Everyone for his gain.
Right, so they're just in it for their own money.
Right.
That's why you find like people like Cliff the Dollar tell the congregation, I want a plane.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right,
And
right,
within no time they come up with how much millions and buy them the plane. You see what I mean?
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
What is the nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word, His word, His word, His word.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today.